Welcome to the ROI Masterclass, the podcast where vision meets strategy and bold moves create measurable results. I'm Liat Siegel, interior designer and ROI strategist with 17 years of experience. I help businesses transform properties and ideas into high-performing assets. This show is specifically for real estate investors, hospitality operators, and boutique developers who aren't afraid to take risks, challenge the status quo, and demand a return on every decision they make. Each and every week, we talk with innovators and leaders across industries about the strategies and the insights and really all the unconventional thinking that turns potential into profit every single time. If you believe that smart design, decisive leadership, and strategic risk are the keys to real ROI, you're in the exact right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the ROI Masterclass. Today, we're joined by Stephen Meadows, COO of a 23-office real estate brokerage and veteran business strategist with over 24 years of experience across residential, commercial, and property management. Stephen specializes in optimizing revenue, building innovative brokerage models, and creating strategic partnerships that scale. Now in Spain, he's redefining what remote leadership and value-driven growth look like in today's real estate world. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited for this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So tell us about your background, how you got to what you're doing today, and why you love it.
So I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I got into real estate after I sold a stereo to a real estate broker at Big Lots. And then I went into real estate through college, started liking it, and then decided it was going to be a career. It certainly wasn't my goal when I got into the business. So I actually started as a front desk admin at a tiny 3-person real estate brokerage in my hometown and moved to Tennessee and became a top producer during the foreclosure boom in the mid 2000s, so 2010 to 2015, and then moved out and kind of chased my career around the country, worked for a home warranty company, and then I worked for the Coldwell Banker national franchise, and I was a franchise liaison, so I was working with broker owners, helping them with their business issues and plugging into the franchise models. Then I was franchise sales, and then in 2020, my now boss pulled me away from franchise sales and said, why don't you come help me grow my company? And at that time, he had 5 offices and 75 agents. And now we're at 23 offices and almost 400 agents. I guess I did okay. I did my job.
I think that's a little bit of an understatement. How did you get there? What was the secret sauce from going to, 5 to where you're at now?
So most of our growth was through mergers and acquisitions. We kind of consolidated other Coldwell Banker affiliates within our geographic periphery. And then we've done some independent where, they weren't a franchise and we brought them in. And then about 2 years into it, I convinced my CEO that we needed a recruiter. I said, we're never going to scale to the level that you want without somebody organically helping us grow. So I actually tapped someone I had worked with in franchise sales for another brokerage. And that brokerage is one of the top 10, I think, in the country for Coldwell Banker. And she had recruited 100 agents a year when she was with that company. And so I brought her along, and now we have 2 recruiters and a couple of administrative people helping with that. So it's a little mix of organic growth and then also mergers and acquisitions. So where we go and we say, hey, your company and our company align very well. We're going to take a lot of the lift off of you administratively, and that will free you personally up, Mr. or Mrs. Owner, to pursue whatever you want, whether it's just be in sales or whatever. And then at the same time, we're able to preserve your agents and give them even more tools and help them be more successful. So we always look at growth as a goal. Like, we're not just going to buy a company and then just let it stay the same. Like, we want to make it better. We want the agents to be more productive. And so if it's not a good fit, we don't do the deal. So it has to be a lot of synergy between the owners, and our cultures have to align as well. There's a lot of consolidation going on in general, not just in the real estate industry, but a lot of companies are looking at, do I want to grow or do I want to scale back? And if you want to scale back, then teaming up with another company like yours is probably the easiest way to do that.
So what are the main pillars for growth? Like, when you take on and bring in another company, how do you do that? How do you help them grow?
So what we generally will do is we will look at their tech stack and kind of go, okay, we've got these things and you can afford these things. We're just a much larger company, so we have scale. We can spread our expenses around. Whereas if you're a single office brokerage with 20 agents, spending $10,000 on a piece of technology seems absolutely ridiculous. But for us, it's an investment. It's like, oh, yeah, we'll get our money back on that. And we always look at that return, of course. And then, we look at who can we make more productive? Who can we, feed a little bit more? Like maybe you need some relocation business, or maybe you need some lead gen, or look, maybe you are on the cusp of being a luxury agent. Let's look at taking you into the luxury sector of the business with the tools that we have available. And some people it's like, I don't want to do more business. I don't want to make more money. I just want to do the business that I'm doing. Great. What can we do to make it more efficient for you so that you're maybe making more money or the same money, but working less? Like it doesn't have to be sell more real estate. I always tell my managers, like, don't assume everybody's obsessed with making more money or doing more sales. It's that work-life balance. I know people overuse that term a lot, but my CEO, who's also named Steve, not to confuse people, but he's big on work-life balance. He's, health and wealth. We have all these programs because he wants our agents to have a life, not just a career. And so that's kind of what we bring to that partnership is how you want to do business. You're an independent contractor, but we have ways to make it a lot easier for you.
Do you find that with bringing on these new companies that there's any pushback? Because generally when somebody's done things for so long, it's kind of hard to get them to change, especially I can see the value, especially since that's the ethos of our company as well, is to create systems, streamline everything. There's no point in working harder, right? You just need to work smarter. So how do you kind of get them on board in order to get them to change? Is that difficult?
It was more difficult in the beginning because we were new at it. We doubled the size of our company with the first major purchase that we did. And it was like, whoa, what are we doing here? And it was 4 hours away. So we jumped 4 hours to the east across DC. We went all the way to the coast. We're based in rural Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. And we learned a lot along the way. But really, the key to this, I love to say, is I prefer to call it the Alexander the Great approach. I'm a student of history. So Alexander the Great would go in, he would conquer a city, and he would leave the same leadership in place and just say, just pay me taxes. I'm going to go off and conquer something else or do whatever. And just, you do your thing. And then over time, he would gradually change what they were doing in their culture and things like that. So that's what we do. We come in and we say, day one, nothing's changing. We are not here to change what you're doing. We are only here to add. This compensation level, that's where you're going to stay. If you have this type of setup, we're going to leave it there. We're going to give you these extra tools and then we'll phase out things over time. So like after almost 4 years, we are finally retiring a Microsoft Outlook account. The rest of our company is Google. This one company was on Microsoft, and it's taken us 4 years to finally go, all right, we're just going to migrate everybody over to Google because they don't like change. People in general don't like change, but real estate agents especially do not like change. And so it's really important for us and the leadership of that company to assure them like nothing's changing. You're only getting more stuff. We're not taking anything away. And we at least do that for a year before any major changes are done.
So what is the buy-in process? You touched on it a little bit. Is the buy-in work-life balance and finances? Because like when you have a USP, right, that unique selling point to get people to buy in, that is what gets them to move. So do you find that touching on their pain points is the thing that gets them to move the needle?
Yeah, absolutely. Finding out each person's sort of, motivation. We try to meet with each agent individually when we merge with a company, but we paint a very broad picture when we're doing the presentation. Like we have all these tools and services. It's a toolbox. That's what I tell them. You're not going to use everything in this toolbox. You're not going to use a hammer to turn a screw. But if you need to turn the screw, I've got 5 different screwdrivers you can use. Which one works best for you? If you like old school, we can do old school. If you like high tech, we can do high tech. What is going to fit your personal way of doing business? Some of the weird thing over the years that people have kind of gotten weird about is like this one agent did not want direct deposit. I want a paper check. We don't do paper checks. And it took us a few minutes, but we finally convinced her to she sold like 2 houses a year. So it wasn't a big deal, but it was like, no, direct deposits, this is the way we do it. And this is why it's better and da 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 da. And but some people just hang on to that. And we've seen other times where we have changed something. They came along kicking and screaming. And then a year later, if we were to try to take it away, they would absolutely run us out of town. Like they love it. They couldn't live without it. We don't know how we did business this long. We're just like, just let us show you. I'm not going to tell you that this is great. Let me show you that this is going to be better for you. And so the change is always the hardest. Change management is a huge part of what we do. And it's a constant, like for the first at least 90 to 120 days, we have to just constantly touch, send people in, do trainings. They have to feel the love. They have to see the result. And then they start telling each other, oh, this was so great. I tried this and oh, I'm so excited. And, you basically kind of throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Like, do you guys like lead gen? No? Okay. How about health insurance? No? Okay. How about multi-state licensing? Ah, okay. You like that one. Great. It works eventually. We usually figure out what they want at some point.
Is there one tool in the toolbox that you say is like a must-have for everybody? I think obviously, in my opinion, would probably be lead gen, right? Mm-hmm. That's the lifeblood. Can't grow without cash. Yep. So what is that major tool that you think all real estate brokerages should have?
Well, I can tell you what our crown jewel is, and it's our open house concierge program, which is basically a lead gen campaign plus a marketing package. So if an agent's having an open house, they register it, we create all this flyers and rate sheets and things like that, and then we run a social media campaign and they get the leads from that. And we generate anywhere from 25 to 30 leads per open house for the agent. It used to be more, but then we discovered that a lot of it was duplicates, and so we kind of trimmed it down to it's a higher quality now. Last week we did 45 open houses as a company. Our agents love it. We pay for the whole thing, so it's free lead gen for them, and we can see in markets where our agents are using it that our market share is increasing. It's not only helping those agents get more business, but it's also increasing the visibility of our brand. There's one area in Delaware where they probably do 40% of our open houses in any given week. Our market share is continually increasing over there, because the agents are getting more opportunities, but people are just seeing Coldwell Banker. They're seeing these ads everywhere. So I think any brokerage needs to have something like, maybe not that specific program, but I think you're right. I think it's lead gen. I have something that's going to put money in your pocket. It may not be a gimme. It's a tool that's going to help you convert or help you generate leads. So it could be a really great CRM, even though I am of the opinion that no agent ever joins or leaves a company because of their customer relationship management software. It's necessary, but it's not the thing. So really it's the training them to convert and giving them the tools to convert. It's all about lead gen. It's how do you take people that you know and turn them into clients? How do you take people you don't know, turn them into clients? How do you leverage the one listing you have into buyers and other listings in that neighborhood? It's kind of two steps. It's training and technology.
How important do you think that within that sphere of bringing people in and bringing them leads is the product itself, is the house and how it's positioned in the marketplace and the ROI of a well-staged or updated property?
It's absolutely vital. You can slap lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, And so we try to train our agents to look at ways to help the client find those little things if you would just paint that wall or just do this, do that. In fact, we believe in that so much, we actually went out and teamed up with a company that it's a financing program to give the seller upfront money to do repairs and whatever. So maybe it's, use this money to get a storage pod and declutter the house, or replace your roof, or redo the bathroom, or whatever. And we train the agents, talk about the return on that investment, talk about the ROI they're going to get for putting $5,000 in it for carpeting. One of my agents took $1 million+ listing and the carpets were just not great, and she's like, this isn't going to work. And he's like, no, it's fine. He just starts scrubbing it with a little brush. He's like, see, it's coming up. And she's like, no. And so I think it was like $20,000 or whatever to do the carpet. She's like, nobody in this price point is going to accept this carpet. Like, this is not going to work. And in the mind of a buyer, it's always way more expensive than it is. So it might be a $5,000 fix, but to the buyer, it's $10,000. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to repaint this entire house. It's going to cost me $10,000. This room is the only one that's terrible. So just paint this room. It's that perception of value. You can probably do it for pennies on the dollar that a buyer would probably negotiate on a repair addendum. You're like, just give me $10,000 off the price. Nah, I can get it fixed for a lot cheaper than that. Just do it up front. Do it up front, make it good. Pre-COVID, we pushed this really hard. We as a company paid for photography. All of our agents in our core market got paid photography because my broker believed in it. He's like, I don't want my agents using their cell phone to take pictures. That's trashy, and it ended up raising the standard so much that everybody else kind of had to fall in line and do professional photography. Now that's the norm. It's, you rarely see, in that market at least, cell phone photos being used because we were the big boy and well, if they're doing it, now we have to catch up. And, so now everybody just hires professional photography and it's not that expensive. And the return is so much. I mean, you might spend a couple $100. You want a drone, you want a Matterport, whatever, a couple $100. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it to showcase the house.
At the end of the day, what you spend for these upgrades, you can make back 100,000 or more on the house, and it rents or buys faster. So these core things, these are must-haves. I think in any vertical within real estate, photography is a must-have because perceived value equates to the actual value. When somebody perceives something online to be wonderful, like a Google listing, right? Or a Zillow listing, like a business like that has a restaurant listed on Google, and you see the images in their cell phone photos, you're not going to want to go there, right? And the same is true with buying homes or renting homes and any other vertical within real estate. The way that it's staged and the way that it's presented is absolutely vital for the highest return.
Think about it in the terms of, and I've never used one of these apps, but think of like, Tinder or whatever, swipe right, swipe left. That is the culture that we're in now. You get like a half a second or a second for people to decide whether they want to keep going. So it's, oh, I don't like that couch. Who cares? The couch isn't staying with the house. Yeah, but it makes the whole, it's just ugly. I don't like that carpet, or I don't like the landscaping. Swipe. But that's the mindset people are in. Like, you have got to present your absolute best foot forward, put on your nice clothes, put on the makeup, whatever, just like you would if you were dating. If you're trying to attract a mate, that's the same thing with a house. A house is trying to attract a mate. It's a dating game essentially, and so you've got to dress it up a little bit.
Absolutely. It's the 3, 30, and 3 rule, right? That 3 seconds, I think it's less probably now. It's like nanoseconds. And then at every point in the journey, and also with the virtual staging too, yes, it has its place, but I think ultimately when somebody is seeing a property online and then they go and visit it in person, if you've painted it virtually or you staged it virtually and it's nothing like the pictures or even slightly, people are going to get off entirely. And so you've got them at the 3 seconds that first time they see it and they come, you have another 30 seconds in order to get them to want to stay and then to really be like, okay, I'm interested in making an offer.
And there's some interesting changes in technology coming down the line. Several websites have started implementing this where AI is actually able to kind of scrub the photos for similarities. And so if a buyer says, oh, I love this kitchen, it can actually search for other homes with that style of kitchen.
Wow.
I think that's brilliant, because people look for features. They're visual shoppers. It's kind of a lesson I've learned now living in Europe because I'm still learning the language. I'm a visual shopper. I go out and I shop with my eyes. I'm like, that looks tasty. Oh, that looks like the thing I'm looking for. And that's how people are, though. They're very visual. I have to feel the space. I have to see that it's going to work for me. When we bought our house, they had this giant sectional sofa in the living room and it felt so tiny. Like, it was almost to the point where like, I don't know if we can make this work. Like, this is small. Well, you take the couch out of there and it's like, oh, well, this isn't so bad. I mean, it was still on the small side, but it wasn't, we did just fine with it. But that gigantic sectional sofa almost blew it. Like, we're like, this is so tiny. Like, this feels so claustrophobic. It's those little design choices that make a huge difference.
Absolutely. When you mentioned last time about like brokerage as a product, can you tell us, because it really does seem that everything that you guys working on and what sets you apart is really that it's a toolbox. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that brokerage as a product?
Yeah, sure. So, the real estate industry has become very agent centric. There's a lot of models out there that are just, basically, oh, you don't have to hardly pay us anything and you get to use all the toys and stuff. But then you don't get the training and the mentoring and all the things that go along with a more traditional brokerage model like we are. And so over the years, we've built these systems and we've built these things that we know work. And now we're looking at taking that, and instead of saying, hey, I want to buy your company, it might be, you know what, you're doing great on your own, but maybe you could do just a little bit better if you just had a little more help. It goes kind of along the fractional line, so people have fractional CMOs, fractional COOs, all that stuff. It's basically let us do some of the heavy lifting for you and we'll share in the success, and maybe it's, hey, maybe there's a fee involved, or maybe it's let me put one of my loan officers in your office and we'll make money off of the mortgages and your agents will benefit from the products and services that we can provide for you. Maybe it's training, maybe it's technology, and it's basically packaging providing those types of services that cost so much money. I look at P&Ls all the time for brokerages, and I'm shocked at how much they're spending on things like accounting services, like 20 grand a year for an accounting service. And it's like, I mean, it's like 10% or so of their revenue. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money to pay for an accountant. Like, good grief. Those types of scale. Like when we bought the one company, their phone bill alone was $40,000 a year just for phones. Well, we have a voice over IP system. Adding them onto it, I think increased our bill by maybe $500 to $600 a year.
That's it?
Yeah. I mean, it was because we pay like per line and per whatever. We can have unlimited extensions for everybody and just forward it to their cell phone. So I only really had to pay for lines at certain desks, like the front desk here, da, da, da. And so it's those economies of scale and those expenses that you can cut that make a huge difference. And so brokerage as a product is sort of taking those things and going, you don't have to pay all that money, just plug into what we have. And it's much easier when your brands are more aligned. We're really hard for me to go after like a Remax and try to do that because our brands are just completely different. But, for the most part, it's services to the agents. What can you offer your agents to make them more productive, to make them more loyal, to make them want to stay? We call it being sticky. You want to be sticky to where it's going to be slightly painful for them to leave. Gee, I would love to go over to that company, but I really like this thing that my broker does for me, and I just don't know how I do my business without it. That's what we're looking for is, what is it? Is it a transaction coordinator? Is it a piece of technology? Like, everybody's a little different. So that's why you have to have such a wide range to offer. But if we can help small to medium-sized brokerages, which are like the vast majority of the brokerages in this country, most people think real estate, everybody's making so much money. Well, there's a reason they call us brokers, because we're broker than most. The brokerages have a really hard time making money. The margins are very thin. And so it's hard to say, hey, agent, I'll give you all this money, but still provide you with all these services. Well, someone's got to pay for it. But if I'm already paying for it and you can just plug in for a fraction of the price, then everybody wins.
And then no one's broke.
Right, exactly. That's the idea.
I feel like and I think you mentioned this last time, it's a giving first model. Can you talk to us about the ROI of authentic networking and relationship capital? Because I feel like that is very intensive.
Oh, absolutely. I actually wrote a book on networking back in 2015. It's a long time ago. I call it Meet More, Make More. Turn your network into net worth, which I know sounds super cheesy, but it was brilliant at the time. And I had this whole illustration of two people shaking hands dissolving into a piggy bank. It was really cool. But I was a big networker. I built my business. I left real estate sales and I went into a business to business model where I was working on the home warranty side. So I was working with agents, but not selling real estate. And I was, pretty good at it because I was very much value first. It was not, hey, give me business. It's what can I do to help you? What can I give you information? Can I teach a class? And I was the guy that knew everybody. If you need to know something, just ask Steven. He probably knows somebody. And honestly, that's been one of my struggles here in Spain is I don't know anybody. So I'm not the guy that knows people, but I'm working on it. But I could tell countless stories of, where I did something very innocuous, like, I offered them this. Or one quick example, I had an agent call me and said, I took your social media class and I really enjoyed it. And I was getting ready to write a contract and I thought I would call you to see if your home warranty would work. We talked about it. Turns out the budget wasn't going to fix. We're like the Cadillac model. And I said, and honestly, you don't really probably need that. You could probably deal with this one or this one. I told them to call two of my competitors. And they're like, seriously? Like, hey, it's not going to do me any good if you have a bad experience or, I force you into something that you're not comfortable with or whatever. Just remember me on the next one. It was a couple of days later, another agent from that office called me. So-and-so said you were so helpful, and said that I should give you a call. I don't think I ever got business from that original agent, but she ended up telling like 3 or 4 other people about how helpful I was. And I got business from them. And that's just really cemented it for me. Like, I'm always value first. It's give before you receive. Somebody in our ecosphere calls it make your deposits before you take a withdrawal. So I build that relationship to a point, and then I can kind of go, hey, can you help me out here? Like, I need a favor. I've done a lot for you. You don't want to like remind people like I've done these things for you. And I hate to say this, it's sort of a Godfather mentality of you help me, I'll help you. We'll help each other. I'll remember you. But it's worked, but it's always, what can I do for you first? I never ask unless I absolutely have to first. I'm usually the one that's, okay, I'm going to cash in something that I've done for somebody else.
Absolutely. I think my business has 100% changed when that changed within me as well. When you start doing good for others and it's more about creating community and network, that things really cement, and it feels good too, right? It doesn't feel forced in any way. It feels like everybody's just coming from a place of wanting to network and benefit one another.
Yeah. Well, and I let my referral partners know, like, if I recommend you to somebody, don't screw it up. Like, don't make me look bad. I'm nice about it, but they know, like, people know, like, if I need someone to do some painting at my house, okay, I'm going to call my person, but I'm going to let them know, like, this is a referral from me, take care of them, They know if you screw this one up, you'll never get another referral from me, because now you're making me look bad, and now you've damaged my reputation as someone that can be trusted. I'm not just going to throw out a name. Like, I've personally used this person. They did a great job. But if they didn't do a great job, I'm not going to say they did. I'm not going to trash them, but I'm not going to pass your name along to anybody else. And so it's very much that give and take of, people know that my recommendations are generally going to be high quality because I care about my reputation and I don't want them to have a bad experience. And my referral partners know that they better take good care of the people that I refer them to.
Absolutely. And you work from long distance now. Can you give us some tips on working remotely and leading teams?
The biggest challenge for my team is the time difference, because I'm 6 hours ahead of Eastern time. I love it. And my boss is jealous because I get up and I can clear my email out from the day before. If I want to work on projects without anybody calling me, I can. My first meeting is until like 2 p.m. my time. And so I have all this free time to, just be quiet. I can go do my running around, or I can sit at the computer. I've got to get this asset purchase agreement done, and I can just sit in solitude for an hour and just hammer it out. It's been really interesting. My team has multiple people, my managers and my recruiters have made comments about how you're just so much less stressed now, and you're just always in such a good mood. And it's funny how that distance just kind of insulates me from the drama. Because it's a company, there's always drama. It's, we're not perfect, there's always so-and-so looked at me weird or whatever, And so it's like, I don't know, I like the other day I said, I know they're going to be upset with me making that decision, but they can't throw a rock that far. They can't hurt me over here. I'm across the ocean. Like, what are they going to do? Yell at me? Like, it is what it is. And so it really has just kind of freed me to be a little more strategic and really dig into the problems instead of just putting out fires all day. And I'm able to delegate a lot more. And then sometimes I'm not. That's one of the big struggles, is I'm perfectionist, but there's a certain way to do things. And if I ask you to do something, I want it done the way I asked you to do it. If you don't want to do it that way, then I'll just do it myself, and then I won't ask you to do anything ever again. And I'm still working on that. I'm a work in progress, but that is kind of my, like, don't make me feel bad about asking you to do this, or don't make me regret asking you for help, So it's really just making sure that the team is all pulling in the same direction. They know they can call me, they can call our CEO. We're a very transparent leadership team, very open door. I know people say that a lot, but we really are. I mean, they've got my cell phone, they got his cell phone. You call me anytime you want. I mean, if I don't answer, it's probably because I'm in bed, and I tell people, don't worry, my phone goes on airplane mode. You can't wake me up. It's fine. Like, call me all you want. It's not going to work. I will call you when I'm up again. I have some folks that they love it because they're early birds. And so they're calling me at 5 o'clock Eastern time. I'm like, you're bothering me. I'm drinking my coffee. What do you want? Just being funny. I don't care. But it's letting them know that the safe space to talk about problems, like, let's deal with whatever's the issue. I've got a couple employees that are very passionate about what they do, and they take things very personally, and they internalize it. Like, oh, I can't believe I messed this up, or, I'm so stressed out about X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, what does it really need to be? You're saying that so-and-so's asking you for this. When do they need it? Well, I don't know. Well, ask them when they need it, because maybe it's not a priority. Oh, I can do that? I'm telling you, you can do that. Like, I've got your back. I know it's not really on the point of me moving, but that separation has, I think, made me a better manager, because I am able to just sort of go, look, not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Let me make some calls. Whereas before, I felt like it was just always a problem. Like, every day it was just, no. I mean, when you have almost 400 independent contractors and 50 staff people to deal with, you're going to have conflict and you're going to have questions and problems, and it does get a little overwhelming. But now, for some reason, that distance, even though I'm working, like I'm at my computer, they never saw me anyway. We have 23 offices. I was always moving around different offices. Nobody ever knew where I was going to be. And half the time I worked at home. So, it's really no different other than the time difference for them. It's just, well, we can't call Steven after like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
The European mentality has really done good on you.
It has. I lost weight, when I got here. The stress melted away, the anxiety. It just is different living here. But, my American mentality is still work, work, work. I got to make money. And it's like, nope, I'm going to go meet some friends and have some coffee or whatever. And I can finish this project when it's actually work time. If I was back in the States, I would be like, I would get out of bed, get coffee, and immediately start working. Whether it was 6 o'clock in the morning or what, it doesn't matter. I would just go to my office and start working. And now it's like, I'll take care of that later. I got things to do. I got to go walk the dogs. I got to go to the vet, or I got to go, grocery shopping or meet people for coffee. It does force you to kind of have that balance.
I think that most Americans, I know that I'm not a closet workaholic anymore. I'm out in the open. I own it.
Yep. My name is Steven. I'm a workaholic.
Yes. And I know that that's something that really needs to be worked on. And I think that it's wonderful that you can separate yourself from work. And I think ultimately our work product is better when we can do that. When we're work, and we don't take care of ourselves. Yeah, it sounds like we get more done, but the quality and the strategy behind it, because everything that you're building and doing within your company is all about strategy. Mm-hmm. I'm so nerding out about right now. I would love for you to leave our audience with your top 3 tips for optimizing systems within their companies, being, smart in their partnerships, and how to adapt in this changing economy.
One of my tips is more along the lines of like employee management, because I think that's important. And one of my weird rules, even though I know people say, oh, you should be able to delegate and all that, and I'm trying to delegate better, but I have this weird opinion that you should not be allowed to delegate something that you are not willing or able to do yourself. I had an employee who literally just delegated everything. Just you give this person a task and it would be split up among 3 other people, and then they would take the credit for it. And I would see it. And I'm like, I asked you, why are you asking them to do this? Like, you could have, well, I was told I could use any resources I wanted. It's still your job. Like, are you not able to do this? Do you not know how? If that's the case, then you need to train yourself. And if you're not willing, then we need to talk, because there's no job in this company that you're too good for. Like, I've taken the trash out. I have mopped the floors. My first day on the job, I took the trash out, and it impressed one of our agents so much. He walked up to the front and told Steve, like, hey, that new VP guy, he just took the trash out. He's like, yeah. And he goes, nice. And I did that on purpose. I made sure that I was seen taking the trash out because I wanted people to know there's nothing I'm too good to do. If I got to roll up my sleeves and scrub a toilet, then I'll scrub the toilet. Like, it's just what you have to do when you run a business. So that's one of my big tips. But when it comes to systems and efficiencies, anything that you can systematize, do it. If you repeat a task more than 2 or 3 times, figure out a system for it. Even if it's just copy and pasting verbiage. When I was a foreclosure listing agent, I carried anywhere from 70 to 90 properties at any given time. And there would be days where I'd have 3 or 4 of them going on the market at one time. And I had it down where I could get them in like 30 minutes. My counterpart would take 2 hours. And one of my tricks was literally, I had like 2 paragraphs that had to be in every listing, copy paste. She would literally type every time. And I'm like, copy and paste it, like the same thing. My contract addendums I would send out, I had a whole sheet of instructions. Initial this, da-da-da, please note about this, there's a rekey fee of this, da-da-da, and agents loved it. They're like, oh, this is so helpful. I'm like, yeah, I want to get paid. If you mess up this paperwork, we don't get paid. Yes, I want you to have a good experience too, but I want to get paid. I'm doing it for myself just as much as I'm doing it for you. So systematize things that are the menial tasks, especially like anything you can do to, skip the extra. It may seem like, well, it's only 5 minutes. Yeah, 10 times. And now it's 50 minutes. And now you've wasted almost an hour of your time. How many times a week are you having to do that? I've had tasks where it's like reporting. I'll spend hours a month pulling reports and compiling this giant spreadsheet. We're setting up a new back office system now. And one of the things we negotiate with them is, you guys are going to build me a custom report that I can push one button and it pulls all the data in for me. And they're like, yep, no problem. So that's hours off my plate now by just finding the right technology to do that. I think the third thing would be culture is very important in business. And if you don't have the right people working for you, you'll know it and you shouldn't tolerate it. You don't have to be nasty about it, but if you've got someone that is just toxic, negative, invite them to go be free. There was an analogy I heard at analogy or metaphor, whichever it is. I think it's an analogy at a leadership summit. And it was actually some famous coach, like UConn women's basketball coach. I can't remember his name, but he said, if you have a vat of sewage and you have a bottle of fine wine and you put a drop of fine wine in the vat of sewage, what do you have? You have a vat of sewage. If you take a drop of sewage and put it in a bottle of fine wine, what do you have? Sewage. You've just ruined that entire bottle of wine with one drop of sewage. So you can't let those toxicity elements into your business. You have to just nip it in the bud. You don't have to be as drastic as firing someone, but maybe it's a talk. Maybe it's what's going on. We've done it with agents. We've done it with staff where it's like, maybe we're not a good fit for you. We try to make it about us. Like, I guess we're not giving you what you need or whatever, but this isn't going to work. Like, I had an employee like screaming at somebody. That's not okay. I don't care that you guys have beef. Like, this isn't okay. Like, this is not a good work environment. I can't have agents walking out the door because they don't want to come to the office. So sometimes you have to make those hard choices, but it's definitely worth it to just cut it off right then and be done. My boss will say, hire slow, fire fast.
I love that. Oh my gosh. What an episode packed with so much wisdom, so much information. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephen.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.